What we're going to do now?
We're going to get all our clothes off and run down Oxford Street.
Guess again, F-head.
We're going to do the forfeit from last week's news quiz.
Now, if you weren't listening to the show last week, basically what it is...
What were you doing?
Yips. Every week, we now have to write a story about the loser, and we have to take your suggestions. Last week, the suggestions were something to do with...
Trouser presses.
Trouser presses and me, and that was about it, really.
Yeah.
And this is what John came up with. Hope you enjoy.
The date is June the 14th, 2043. Russell Howard and Jon Richardson have now known one another for 40 years. They are recognised across Bristol and most of North Somerset as the ones who took over all of Radio Shire, which they achieved in late 2008. Unfortunately, radio became obsolete in early 2009. And the pair never managed to find a successful vehicle to transfer their format to TV, or digestives, the new form of entertainment where audiences eat a small round biscuit and the show of their choice appears in their minds. Russell has spent the last 16 years working as an ice cream man, and still gains enjoyment from the idea that a 99er is not an ice cream, but actually two people with massive heads having sex. Tomorrow, John will act as best man at Russell's wedding. On the eve of the big day, the two friends sit on the hood of Howard's truck, munching on chalk ices and gazing up at the stars. An owl hoots. And somewhere miles away, a guy called Chris soils himself. "I'm ever so nervous, John," whispers Russell. "Don't worry, mate," replies John, his voice having been transformed into a parody of himself as punishment for blaspheming against the king. "What could possibly go wrong?" "Now you've gone and done it! You done tempted fate good and proper there, mate!" exploded Russell, tossing his chalk ice to the ground. His voice has not been altered, and that was just what he actually sounded like. "Is there something you're not telling me, Russell? Something you're afraid of tomorrow?" "I've been done getting these in the post again, John. I thought all this was over. I paid 'em off. I paid, dagnammit." Russell handed John a perfectly pressed pair of men's chinos. They really did never go out of fashion. It was obvious that the trouser press gang was back on Russell's case. "You don't think they're going to try nothing tomorrow, does you?" "They'd better not," vowed John, taking another slug of gin and giving the rest of his chalk ice to Russell, whom he could see was regretting having thrown his away. The big day arrived and everyone had a smashing time. The ice cream van had been done up with ribbons, and many guests from the past arrived to witness the ceremony.
Yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage.
"Hello, Randy. Thanks for coming. Hello, Uncle Mark."
Yeah?
All was going well until the vicar asked if anyone knew of any reason or impediment why Russell and his beloved should not be wed. "I know of a reason," screamed a voice from the back. It was Abby Titmus. No one recognised her, of course, for her time in the limelight was long over. No one, that is, except for Russell. "Don't do this, Abby," he pleaded, but it was no use. Angry at having been scorned in the past, she unleashed a gang of trouser presses on the unsuspecting congregation. Danny Baker was flattened within moments, and all the creases were taken out of Gordon Ramsay's face, leaving nothing behind. While it seemed all was lost, John simply smiled and opened a suitcase from underneath his seat. Out burst an army of tiny Dyson airblades. "Strap yourselves in!" he cried out with a sly smirk. The airblades sucked with all their might, and all the offending machines were drawn from the service within moments. They were also cleaned of all bacteria and left feeling smooth and cleansed. The rest of the day went without a hitch. At the reception, the two friends performed together for the first time in 34 years, and absolutely ripped it. They ended by playing a clip from their show dated April the 20th, 2008, which marked the beginning of their takeover bid. We join them there now.
What a pleasure. And absolutely, I particularly enjoy the fact that once more you are the hero. In every story, every little story John writes.
If we'd been allowed to play music on the podcast, I would have ended with, "Did you ever know?" But
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well, that was fantastic. That's the kind of thing we're going to do every week.